Based on a reviewed report of the National Bureau of Statistics, foreign direct investment into Nigeria fell to $29.83 million in the second quarter of 2024, the lowest amount since 2013, from the $86.03 million reported in quarter 2 2023 and the $119.18 million in quarter 1 2024. This represented a dramatic 65.33% and 74.97% decrease. Now, this sharp decline is ascribed by economists to the depreciation of the Naira, which saw a 40% reduction in value in the first half of 2024, as well as the continuous volatility that we've seen so far in the foreign currency market. So this morning, I'm joined by Dr. Josh Bamfo, partner and the head of the transfer pricing services practice at Anderson in Nigeria. Dr. Bamfo, you're welcome. So economists say that the depreciation of the Naira was largely responsible for the sharp decline in FDI during the second quarter of this year. Let's understand to what extent that is.
So I think for us to, before we can focus on one particular factor, we need to appreciate the number of factors that the investment community tends to look at in order to make a determination whether to invest in a particular jurisdiction or not. When you look at the Nigerian economy, it's always been the case that Nigeria has a competitive advantage in terms of the sheer size of the economy. When you have a population of about 200 million, that is very attractive to investors. That said, there's always been a number of factors that has, had some adverse impact in terms of Nigeria being seen as a good investment destination. One has always been the energy challenge. The energy cost for business is always very high, but that is a legacy problem. So it couldn't have been the reason for this sharp drop from the first quarter of 2024 to the second quarter. We also know that we have infrastructure deficit and its own challenges, and that's another legacy problem that needs to be resolved. So that couldn't have been the reason for the sharp drop, even though resolution of these two factors could actually improve the way investors see Nigeria as an investment destination. So it then begs the question, what has been the current challenges that could have actually improved or increased the riskiness of doing business in Nigeria? And one of the obvious ones has to do with exchange rate. Clearly, if I'm going to make an investment in a jurisdiction, I'm going to think about how best I'm going to repatriate those returns from those investments. And if I'm a foreign direct investor and I'm investing in Nigeria and I'm going to earn Naira, I'll have to repatriate those dividends in terms of dollars. And if there's a very fast depreciation of the currency, that increases the riskiness of such an investment, and that becomes a problem. So I fully agree with other economists that the fast depreciation of the Nigerian currency against hard currencies such as the USD, over this short period of time, where just the first half we've seen an depreciation rate of about 40%, that definitely would be a cause of concern for investors. If you even take it further back, when this current government took over in June, true, we had a different type of exchange rate regime where it was a bit fixed. But even if you look at the power market, it was hovering around 700 or 600 to 700 Naira to a dollar. Today, we find the exchange rate around 1,700 to a dollar. That is almost 3 times, a bit 300% in depreciation. So clearly, if I'm an investor and I want to invest in something that is long-term, and that's what foreign direct investment is all about, investing in long-term projects, such as in industries, I'm going to think about this and say, hey, how do I make projections that are reliable in terms of return on my investment? So definitely, the fast depreciation of the Naira is a big concern for the investment community, and that could be a major reason why we've seen that significant drop. Also, in addition to that will be the fact that interest rates have also been skyrocketing in order to combat inflation. So you have fast depreciation of the Naira, you have consistent increase in interest rates, which could be a potential local source of borrowing in order to deal with your working capital needs. And you have inflation going at all-time high, making purchasing power of consumers reduce, which can impact the demand for some goods and services in specific industries. So when you look at all these factors, there's clearly some macroeconomic instability that will not augur well for the investment community, especially foreign direct investors in Nigeria. And that
but then,
be decline.
Yeah, but then, Dr. Banfo, of course, the Nigerian government has constantly defended its policy stance, and it has actually always stood up for its economic policies, both on the fiscal and monetary side, while doing that, blaming speculators and every other institution for the deplorable state of the Naira. Can you exonerate the Nigerian government from this issue? Because the talks has always been these measures that have gone, of course, that have gone on or that have been implemented by this current administration are tough choices that needed to be made. But then here we are.
I don't think you can exonerate the government because they are the managers of the economy. The same thing, if the economy was doing well, they will take the credit. If the economy is being perceived to be on the wrong path, then no one can be exonerated in government. But that said, we need to recognize some of the good decisions they've made and some of the decisions I think they should make if we are going to be able to resolve these issues pretty quickly. Let me start with the CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria. Their prerogative, first and foremost, is to bring price stability. And I got that. And the current CBN governor has constantly said that he's going to go back to his core mandate of achieving price stability. Now, to achieve that, because inflation is at an all-time high, over 30%, to achieve that, one of the tools that they have control over is to actually increase interest rates so that it can curb, demand for goods and services, and that can then bring prices down or stabilize it. However, we all know that when you continue to increase the monetary policy rate and interest rate goes up, it has an adverse impact on the real economy in terms of investment demand by the business sector and the ability to create jobs. And that is one of the reasons why you will have foreign direct investors scratching their head, wondering whether to invest or not. But that said, where I have a little bit of concern is this. I don't think that the CBN should overly focus on money increases in interest rates to curb this problem, because there are other factors that are contributing to this inflation. When you increase interest rates, you are saying that the major cause or the main cause of inflation is a demand side issue. But we all know that based on the data, it is food inflation that is actually driving the headline inflation up. So what are the causes of food inflation? We know that one of them is insecurity in the farmlands. So it's a fiscal issue that has to be addressed. Government has to make investments in terms of how they curb insecurity issues in the areas where production of agricultural products actually occur. We don't think they've done enough in that particular space. So you cannot exonerate government in that particular situation. Now let's come to the supply chain. When the food product is actually, the agricultural product is produced, it has to be transported to the urban cities. One of the major issues is fuel prices and its impact on transportation costs. What are the issues that affect fuel prices? One is the removal of the fuel subsidy, which theoretically made sense, but the timing was wrong. The second is exchange rate. Anytime your exchange rate weakens, the cost of importing PMS of fuel products also goes up. So if you actually focus on stabilizing or reducing the exchange rate, you are actually also helping reduce prices of goods and services. However, the CBN has focused solely or mainly on increasing interest rates in order to solve the problem. That I think is a bit misguided, because think of it this way. If you actually bring exchange rate down, you are achieving two things. One, you are able to bring price stability, which is their main mandate. And two, it actually helps with foreign direct investment attraction and helps with the real economy actually growing. So I think there should be a renewed focus on exchange rate management and actually bringing the exchange rate down so that you have the Naira appreciating against the dollar. Now, we've moved away from that paradigm of a fixed exchange rate regime to a floating exchange rate regime where, as the CBN governor will say, you have the willing buyer and the willing seller determine the price of a foreign exchange. For me, when you do that, you need room for speculators to actually determine the price. And what speculators will do, demand a big chunk, forces the price up, and sell when the price is up, and demand again. And so what we're going to see is a creeping depreciation of the currency month in and month out. By the time you look at it over a long period of time, we'll see that we have a huge depreciation, devaluation of our currency. I think the government should go to a middle ground that is the CBN, where we have what we call a float managed exchange rate regime. You reduce the exchange rate to some lower band that is easy to actually defend. And what that is going to do is kick out speculators. The only reason why speculators will leave the market or reduce the activities is when they bought at a high price and the price actually crashes. Then why would you hold on to that forex? Do they sell? So that should be the strategy. I think the overemphasis on just increasing monetary policy rate in order to solve the inflation problem is having adverse impact on other sectors such as the real economy. And the reduction in the FDI is one of such examples. So until they tweak their policy, we're going to continue to see this reduction in foreign direct investment into Nigeria, which will be a problem.
Dr. George Banfo, a whole lot of stuff you've said this morning as regards what needs to be done. Well, we hope they can take that initiative from there. Dr. George Banfo, partner, the head of the Transfer Pricing Services Practice at Addison in Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time.